We offer several different types of covert antennas. The first and most common would be just the standard roof mount antenna. They mount on the roof of a vehicle. They're used for day-to-day communications. And this is one of the most common form factors in terms of concealment because we focus on creating a OEM lookalike antenna that's designed to mimic the factory AM/FM radio and allow for their land mobile radio functionality. Some other common ones would be just a concealed mount. So this could be anything from like an antenna that mounts under the bumper of the vehicle or is designed to look like an accessory that may attach to the vehicle, or even is just completely concealed within the vehicle, like maybe under the headliner. And that kind of ties into the next one, is like a patch antenna. These are like just designed strictly for concealment. They can be placed on all different types of locations. Another common antenna type is magnetic mounts. So these are convenient for users who may not want to do a hard install on their vehicle. They just need something on the go. They maybe want to take it off. It's just strictly there for when they need it. It's very easy to install on the fly. And lastly would be like the glass mount. This is kind of a more older technology at this point, but there still is use case for it. I would say it's less concealed than the other models above, but still, especially on older vehicles, can look factory or OEM. First thing is always going to be the most important question is simply just what frequency range you need to operate on. That will open us up to a variety of antennas we can choose from. Certain models will have limitations in terms of their frequency range. Another thing that is important is just your radio transmission, the power rating that you need. Certain antennas have higher power rating than others, so you need to have an antenna that will match that power rating. Form factor is a really big thing when it comes to the antenna. That's just what does it actually look like? How does it conceal? Where does it mount? Different vehicles will have different constraints as far as mounting option goes. Certain vehicles will have, an aluminum body, which makes, for instance, like a magnet mount, a non-functional antenna on that vehicle. So there's certain things you need to consider as far as your concealment. And then just the environment the vehicle's in. And that kind of ties in just the performance requirements as far as like range, signal quality. Generally, you want to pick an antenna based on the use case that you need for a specific vehicle. It's not always a one size fits all. The biggest would definitely be just the overall placement of the antenna. We have what's referred to the green, yellow, and red zone. That's a basic chart we use where it will break down the different areas you can mount an antenna on the vehicle. The green zone is going to offer the highest performance range. Yellow zone will be second to that, and then the red zone is typically a lower signal quality. It has more highly specialized use case for that antenna. Another important thing is just the ground plane. All our antennas are built for a ground plane. I should say most of them are built for a ground plane. They do need an adequate ground plane to function properly. Signal interference, the cable quality is another important component to the antenna. And lastly, just antenna tuning. We have what's called a super band antenna. Some of our antennas can operate at a wide frequency range. If you do need it to be tuned for a specific frequency, creating the antenna for that will lead to more optimized performance, which will provide better results in the field. Interference would just be the biggest one. Anything from the radio in the vehicle, other nearby electronic devices, physical obstacles like buildings, other vehicles, environmental factors. I would say the biggest key here is just having the right antenna for the job that you need. And that kind of ties into like signal degradation as well. If you are experiencing issues like that, the first step I would always suggest is doing a quick run through, make sure all your cable kits are secured properly, make sure your connectors are crimped on properly, make sure the antenna is grounded properly. Those would be kind of the basics before further troubleshooting. There's definitely a high level of skill that goes into properly installing antennas, properly installing a radio system, and also being able to effectively troubleshoot. That would be some of the big things on how to deal with challenges and what you can do to overcome them. Some of the risks would be like mounting an antenna in the vehicle. There is obviously RF in the vehicle when you are using that antenna. Our antennas are all passive. They're not emitting any energy when they're not being used, but it is something to be aware of.